People who've had sex with celebrities. How was it? I'm starting to figure out people who bang celebrities aren't on Reddit. People who bang aren't on Reddit. Slept with the lady that used to do the morning news in my city. This was at least 15 years ago. She is a blanket stealer and puts her cold feet right between your legs when she wants them warmed up. Now everyone knows Cassie. This is the cutest one by far. A co-worker's sister slept with Chris Evans before he was famous. Same town. She worked it into every conversation she could. 'Cause why wouldn't you? Edit. America's ass. Some girl in my high school was one of the girls at the club that got picked up and fucked by one of them Jersey Shore dudes. I saw her on the TV and almost died laughing. Thanks for the votes. I'll Facebook her and tell her she's Reddit famous. My second cousin was married to Joao. Girl I know slept with G-Eazy in 2015 before he was really big. He gave her chlamydia. Leo. I feel like chlamydia is his middle name. Before AIDS was a thing. A friend of mine slept with Christopher Walken. He was in town for one night and told her that's all they'd have. She was fine with that. She said he was a perfect gentleman and a very sweet lover. He kept telling her how beautiful she was and made her feel like a queen. Edit to state that the mention of AIDS was only to date the story. I should have just said it was in the early 80s. Thanks for the awards and all the comments. I thought this sweet little story would get buried. I have no more information. She's a lady and didn't talk about it more than I posted. This was nearly 35 years ago and she still adores him. It's nice to know that some celebrities are decent people. This made me happy to hear. He's got a good way about him. I bet he's very charming. My grandma did one of the Beatles in the 60s. Edit. It was Paul. And she has his number. Edit 2. Story time. In 1961 my grandma dated Paul. For 3 weeks, then they broke up on good terms. And stayed in contact. Nothing changed when he died. But she got his phone number in like 2008 and they hang out sometimes when she's in England. I've met him twice. He's pretty nice. Edit 3. Yes, I know Paul is not dead. But there's a common conspiracy theory that he died in a car accident and was replaced because it would have been catastrophic to the band. You can't just tell us and not say which one. Edit. I guess George. Ended up wrong. But still. I had sex with Paul McCartney and I've got his phone number. Is one hell of a brag. Great until they kicked me out of the wax museum. Well, if this thread has taught me something, it's that celebrities are riddled with STDs. Anyone who is going to fuck randos left and right is heavily statistically likely to be a collection of STDs. I fucked the mascot for Hamburger Helper. Same. That arsehole gave me the clap. A friend slept with the lead singer of City and Colour when they were touring university campuses in the early 2000s. She bragged about it to anyone who would listen. That ended a few weeks later when she realized he gave her chlamydia and genital warts, upside down face. Gave her the old sleeping sickness. Post Malone asked my ex-girlfriend if she would be interested in going home with him under the condition that she would have to eat his ass. If there is one person's ass I would not want to eat, he would probably be it. I once had sex with Eartha Kitt in an airplane bathroom. E.W.W. Pierce. Slept with Western Kentucky's mascot after a drunken day at Churchill Downs. She refused to keep the head on. Still 10/10 experience. Yes. The big red blob thing. Not everybody gets to fuck Red Grimace. Refused to keep the head on, but was she wearing the rest and there was like a flap of something? A friend of mine fucked the Del guy of dude. You're getting a Del fame when we were in college. If you know who the Del guy is. Congratulations on being old like me, and my friend. She got the D. My friend bragged to me about getting banged by Tone Loc, funky cold Medina guy. She was 18 but seemed proud of it. About 20 years later we were watching old videos and Tone Loc came on and I asked her about it and she said it sucked. He didn't shower after coming off stage. A little smelly. Drunk and gave a few pumps and was done. Edit. Thanks for all of the comments and laughs. My friend was young and really didn't have much to compare her night with Tone Loc to. Fast forward a few decades and she now realized it was not that great. No, we never slept with each other and that is good because I would not want to be compared to Tone Loc. I will let my friend check out this feed and see if she gets a chuckle also. Thanks everyone. He barely did the wild thing. Not me. But a girl I knew slept with some F-list reality TV douchebag. He quoted himself off the show as a chat-up line and then again after he came. She described the experience as embarrassing, but not sure for who. I'm guessing it was Puck from the real world SF. My wife has been in a couple of TV commercials, and I'm hoping that she will have sex with me one day. Soon. Please. Edit. I'm glad everyone is enjoying my dead sex life. Thanks for the rewards. I've never got one before. I don't know what they are good for, but thanks. Friend girl of mine bang screwed an NBA player. The only detail I remember was that he was adamant about taking the condom with him when he left. Update. Thank you for the award. No child left behind. I hooked up with the drummer of Slipknot when they were in town. Twice. I was working at a strip club and he wanted lap dances. He paid me to do a lap dance for at least an hour. It was a ton of money. We bonded in conversation in that time. He invited me to hang out at his hotel, which I was still naive enough to not know if that just meant hanging out. I liked him though. We had fun. And he put me on the guest list. I went to his show the next night. Went backstage. Checked out the tour bus. And then met him at his hotel again. For the answer to how was it, he was good. It was fun. Edit. No. I'm not the suicide girl in Texas with the house. Jenna Jameson kissed me on the mouth at a strip club in Ohio. That's all I got. That's all I got. Count yourself lucky. I shook hands with Penn and Teller, then went back to my hotel room and fucked my wife. Deleted. I saw Danny DeVito cursing out a cyclist who nearly wiped him out getting out of a private cab once in San Fran. Was almost as good as sex. Knew a girl who fucked Zac Efron. Had to sign an NDA. Told me he wasn't all that great in bed. I.e. the fantasy was better than the reality. Still fanboyed over him hard apparently. So much about that NDA. I knew a girl who was an escort. She had sex with Derek Jeter. Afterwards he called a limo to take her home. In the limo was a gift. It was a baseball signed by Derek Jeter. He did this with all of them. There are plenty of dames in New York with Yankees gift baskets courtesy of this legend. I got it on with the star of a popular 80s sitcom. She rocked my world. To protect her anonymity, I will refer to her only as B. Arthur. You made me laugh so fucking hard. Deleted. Deleted. A girl I went to high school with dated Jason Ackner aka Wee Man, shortly before Jackass 3 came out. He visited her family in Wee around Thanksgiving time. But he hated Wee so much that he paid her best friend to drive him to the airport in the middle of the night. I guess when he visited he was Wee Man. My nana was in a serious relationship with Nash of Crosby, Stills and Nash. Is she Joni Mitchell? I talked to a girl once outside a music venue and we got to talking about the same topic. Celebrities and shit. She said her friend had sex with Atreyu from the Neverending Story. They had sex on the beach somewhere in Costa Rica. I was like, that's cool. I bet he's kinda attractive as an older man. And she was like, yeah, he was hot. But he gave my friend herpes. And I say, well, I guess that's a Neverending Story. Had sex with Atreyu. Damn. The whole band? From the Neverending Story. Oh. I stood 2 feet away from Ethan Hawke in Tulum, Mexico at the restaurant. Hartwood. And that's the closest I've been to a celebrity's genitals. I worked in DC for a congressman when Brad Pitt came to talk to Pelosi about his charity. He nodded at me when he walked by me in the rotunda. Nodded. A buddy of mine dated a celebrity of American Pie fame. A certain foreign exchange character. He has my eternal jealousy but was a gentleman on the details. I did get to meet her and play poker at her house though. So there's that. It wasn't sex but I did beat her at a couple of hands. So that was cool. Then she cheated on him with a dance show partner. Disappointing all round I think. And X200B. Edit. My buddy is a Redditor. One of the few that I know of IRL. So I am curious to see if I hear about this. She was like the pinnacle of hotness back in the day. Too bad she was a cheater. My sister fucked Drake. I walked into her room 10 years ago and she was Skyping him. I waved to him and said hi and he showed me the studio he was sitting in because I was skeptical. Pretty cool. I guess they met up after his show in the city we lived in at the time and then never spoke again, lol. Edit. She signed a NDA. I did not. How old was she? A woman I worked with had a one-night stand with Captain Obvious, from Hotels.com, whom she met at a night jazz club. She pretended that she didn't recognize him in order to prevent being seen as a gold digger. She was hoping to get into a short-term relationship with him and hopefully he would give her some money and buy her a Lexus, which she really wanted. Later she found out that he wasn't Captain Obvious. Just looked very much like him. On a trip to Vegas, one of my friends effed Michael Jordan. She said it was painful and fairly fast. She won't ever stop talking about it. If I just saw Michael Jordan in person, I'd probably would never stop talking about it. I fucked a chick who was in a Target catalog. It was hot. Cutting a hole in the Target catalog doesn't count. I used a gender-neutral bathroom with James Franco. We made eye contact and smiled at each other when we were washing our hands. My ex slept with Till from Rammstein after a gig once many years ago when she was a gothlet. She said he was very respectful. Mildly kinky, wanted to have sex on the hotel balcony with her bent over the rail over the city so people could see, and apparently had skin as soft as a baby. Apparently he was nice. Bought her breakfast the next day. Invited her back for a second sesh the next day, then moved on in his tour. She said 8/10 would star fuck again. My bestie had basically the exact same experience with Till. Except she tried to fuck him backstage and he declined. But invited her to his hotel room after the show. She showed up. He wouldn't let her inside until she showed him her driver's license. Apparently he had thought she was underage earlier and was just blowing her off, didn't expect to see her again. Anyway, she was 20, she did look younger, so he let her stay the night. She said the same thing about him being very respectful and having really soft skin. I did not sleep with but did a little more than made out with Drew Barrymore October '07. It was rad. She was always my biggest crush growing up. Congratulations. Now we must duel. A celebrity I've masturbated to liked one of my tweets once. I won't say who. Kumail Nanjiani liked one of my tweets once. So I'm gonna go smack it to him and then see Tenet next week. That'll count. Right? A friend of a friend slept with Shawn Mendes. Apparently it wasn't something to write home about. Edit. For everyone asking. The friend was a she. I know a lot of people have questioned his sexuality, but it's something he's came out and said makes him feel very uncomfortable. So you're saying he didn't leave anyone in stitches? My wife's grandmother dated Ted Bundy. Said he was a wonderful and charming guy. I mean, by all accounts he was. That's what made him so famous. He personified the next door neighbor could be a crazy person idea because he was just so. Not a typical serial killer in the way most people think. A friend of mine slept with Perez Hilton. Would you be surprised if my friend said the sex wasn't very good? Edit. Perez Hilton, the gossip blogger. Not Paris Hilton, the heiress. Too many people think I meant Paris when I wrote Perez. That just gave me shivers. I feel sorry for your friend. I hooked up with Zooey Deschanel in 2005. I was a bit of a premature Pete. But she was really sweet about it and I got her a cab after. I was smoking weed with the bass player from Belphegor after a show, and when my girlfriend called he politely asked if she would suck his dick. Upon learning it wouldn't happen, he graciously accepted the no and we continued talking about metal. Barely relevant, but I think the story is funny. Can I ask how one would graciously ask if they can get their dick sucked? Like, did he say please? Knew someone who slept with Leonardo Dicaprio. Apparently he kept his headphones on the entire time. Doggy style? This rumor is everywhere. I want to know what he's listening to. Danny DeVito was surprisingly energetic. Yet gentle. Until he ran in and started blasting. What you don't realize is the amount of NDAs floating around out there, lol. Back in the zeros. A mate of mine used to fuck Shaggy every time he would come to Melbourne. I think he probably made 2-3 trips down here. We'd all make a big deal about her disappearing for a few days to shag Shaggy. She had nothing but nice things to say about him. She knew she was nothing but a bit of side poon when he was in town. I'm picturing that they were both buck naked banging on the bathroom floor. I refuse to believe that 187 Redditors had sex with celebrities. Deleted. One of my best friends met Jared Leto at a concert, not 30 Seconds to Mars, and went back to his hotel with him. They banged. And he's since texted her for a booty call when he was in town again. I believe they also sexted on occasion. Edit. I used to send her articles on all of the A-list celebrities he's hooked up with. Oh look, your Eskimo sisters with Cameron Diaz, Scarlett Johansson, and Paris Hilton. Edit 2. Thank you to the commenters who let me know that Eskimo sisters is a derogatory term. I'll be sure never to use it going forward. Seems like he did this to a lot of girls. A friend of mine had a very similar story. He apparently has a bit of a crooked penis. I used to know a dude who claims to have met Amanda Bynes in the mental hospital rehab. They dated for a while. He said she was very unstable and clingy and honestly terrifying to be with. I wish I could remember some of his stories. That's so sad. She always seemed so sweet and down to earth in real life. When the news broke of her having such bad mental health issues, my heart broke for her. I hope she's doing better now. A friend was part of an actor's studio playhouse in the 80s. She said Jeff Goldblum has a huge dick and is an amazing lover. They did it a few times but he let her down easy because his career was taking off and he was crazy busy. He was really cool and remembered her years later. Alec Baldwin was also hung but was super hairy and sweated a lot. Like, it was dripping into her mouth. It was too hard to ignore the sweatiness for her to enjoy it. But he was hilarious. Very bright and smelled good. Carrie Hatch, the bass player from Oingo Boingo, would scream, "I'm coming." Really loud. Edit. Correction from my friend. Carrie Hatch was the drummer back when they were together. He broke her heart. I love this. It seems completely on brand for them. I'm not familiar with the last one though. I knew Goldblum wouldn't disappoint. Edit. Spelling mistake. A friend told me Victoria Justice gave lap dances to some of his friends at a party the year she signed on for Victorious. Was it Dan Gettin the Van Schneider? I slept with a well-known, now deceased, rapper when he came to Toronto a couple of times. And I stayed at his place in California for a few days as well. The sex was good but it wasn't any better than a non-celeb. He wasn't selfish in bed at all and it felt natural cause we got along. He was actually really down to earth and fun to hang out with. Mac Miller will be missed. Ex-fuck Twiggy Ramirez of Marilyn Manson, around 2000 or so after a show. Apparently it was alright. His dick was huge. But it was over quick and then he kicked her to the curb right after to do coke or something. And yes, she was underage. Hi, I came here to say this. Except it was a friend not an ex. And it was in 1996. We were both 15 at the time. There's this long-standing rumor that while Timothée Chalamet was attending NAU, he gave a lot of people chlamydia. And with the amount of accounts from NAU students to corroborate this, I'm obliged to believe this. And with all the clinics in Manhattan, no one thought to take him aside and tell him to get his weeping willy treated? A friend of mine had sex with Paul Wesley. She said it was pretty good. He also took her on a short getaway trip. Seemed like a very nice guy. Ended up getting her a gift candle that was the scent of his cologne so she can remember him. A couple of years ago I met the Frozen Snowshoe. He invited me to his place and showed me his harvest trays. Everything was great but EHM. Then he asked me to do the old King Clancy's which I politely declined. You asked him Shabatsky. And he turned you down. Don't lie. Someone I know fucked Steven Tyler. He's not very good and he's got a really tiny penis. I hooked up with Randy Newman's son. He said I had a nice vagina. I guess that's a win. I guess you could say that. He had a friend in you. Thing from Adam's Family once gave me a hand job. Deleted. Friend of mine met Tiger Woods while bartending a golf charity tournament he was attending. He took her back to his hotel room and tossed her salad and had unprotected sex. This was several years before he crashed into a mailbox and divorced his wife. I know a married woman who has a child that looks just like Tiger Woods. Not unusual except for the fact her and her husband are white. The kid isn't. And she was one of his booty calls. My grandma kissed Tom Petty. My grandmother dated Jimmy Carter. Not sure how physical things got but I've read a few of the letters he wrote. I only post this because I can't think of any other reason I would get to bring this up. Deleted. My mom had sex with David Lee Roth. She said he smelled like sour milk and put his dirty hat on her head. Put his dirty hat on her head sounds like a euphemism. My friend fucked the dude from the WoW Vine with the girl vaping. This is the only one on the thread I actually care about. I know a girl that hooks up with Hannibal Buress every time he comes to Milwaukee. Edit. They met on Bumble and she said he's very sweet guy. Girl, sorry honey I can't see you this time, what are you gonna do without me tonight? Him, whack. My mother had a one-night stand with Conan back in early 2000s. They met at a bar somewhere in Texas and he bought them a hotel room. O'Brien? Or the Barbarian? I slept with a very famous and still popular rapper from Memphis. The sex was surprisingly good. He was very attentive and affectionate. I thought he'd be arrogant. But he was cool and made sure I enjoyed myself too. You say no to ratchet pussy, Juicy J can't. A friend met Matthew McConaughey in a club in Miami. She went home with him. Said it was meh. Well, that's disappointing. Pete Wentz held my hand while performing Saturday. Does that count? Deleted. I took her out. It was a Friday and the aliens are coming. A friend of mine went to college with Obama. Her friend dated him and said he's a good kisser. That's all I know. This is all I need to know. I sold cocaine to Taboo from the Black Eyed Peas. It wasn't sex but they bought 4 ounces of the stuff of us. Oh so you was like D'Allen. Not me but a friend of a friend went home with John Mayer after a party in Lap. Apparently. When things were getting hot and heavy. He asked her to sing his songs to him. When she said no. He then asked if he could pee on her. She again said no and went to the bathroom to take a break. She came out of the bathroom to see him leaving. She went into her bedroom and saw he peed all over her bed. She said it was one of the worst nights she's ever had. She should have told him that her body was a wonderland and not a urinal. My sister drunkenly kissed Keanu Reeves on the back of the neck. She will never live it down and Keanu was cool when I met him. My underage friend fucked Marilyn Manson. That was a horrendous story. Also a lot of band members from emo bands. Meanwhile she was underage. Like 13-14. Disgust. Seems like it's a common thing among band members. There's a lot of comments similar to yours. It makes me so angry. Used to know a couple of models who'd fucked Leo. They said he had a thing about his balls being worshipped. Luckily for us he sees planet Earth as his most important ball of all and thus will likely leave the world a better, and admittedly wetter, place than he found it. More power to him I say. I have a friend who went to a party where Leo was at. Apparently he pointed to 3 girls in a crowd and disappeared with them. I had the opportunity to sleep with the bassist from Escape the Fate and I turned it down. Kind of regret it. Kind of not cause he was a bit of a douche. I also matched with Paul Richardson, Seattle Seahawks, on Tinder and he told me girl I'd dick you down so good. I'm just saying. But that's not the type of energy I was into at the time so I told him maybe when you learn how to catch a fucking ball. I don't know anything about football at all but a friend of mine who doesn't knew his stats. Told me what to say. Never actually slept with a celebrity. I'm saving myself for Evan Peters. I fucked Ralph Macchio, the Karate Kid's cousin. She had a huge ass. Mediocre in the sack. His cousin Vinny. Should have made this a serious tag. Then it'd get 0 replies. I remember Vanilla Ice's answer to the question what was it like to sleep with Madonna. He said it's not like she had a golden pussy. That has stuck with me. An old co-worker who's obsessed with the Smashing Pumpkins used to brag and at time constantly about sleeping with Billy Corgan once after a show. She'd always be very vague about it. But one night after a few too many drinks she finally confided that it was lackluster but that she still loved TSP and would always cherish that night because Billy was probably tired from rocking so hard. What an adorable thing to say in regards to a famous person's lackluster bedroom skills. Your old co-worker sounds great. I ran into literally Joe Rogan while going into a lax bathroom. We bumped front parts and then he took off around the corner. That's the closest I've got. Jamie, pull that shit up. The girl in the video that corporate gave us. Daryl banged her. I fucked Lucian Pian, a nobody. But if you have watched early RuPaul's Drag Race, you might recognize him, in Austin. It was clear he was psycho before the tweets came out. But the sex was good. I knew this girl who tried to fuck Anders Holm but won't since he's married. I knew this other girl that Hannibal Buress tried to fuck. But she won't since she's gay. Whack. David Castaneda. Plays Diego in The Umbrella Academy. This was way before he was as big as he is now. He was in New Mexico filming a movie. I forget what it was called, but it was an action movie. He was such a sweet guy and talked about how excited he was to be filming movies and that he couldn't believe that was where he was at. Glad he got bigger. Really a great guy. Edit, grammar. Deleted. My brother's co-worker friend was showing me and him photos of him in bed naked with Vin Diesel. At the time I was surprised that he was gay. Now that I think about it, it's not surprising at all. A little surprising. But it's far from crazy that a buff man in the theatrical world is gay. I had sex with Times Person of the Year, 2006. Pretty regularly actually. Third Eye Blind came to my college and a girl in my dorm banged the lead singer dude on the bus. Apparently the guy is disgusting, arrogant and a huge douchebag to women. Not a ton of exciting answers that I see while scrolling. So I'll add my totally not sex answer. I shook Julianne Moore's hand once. She smelled incredible. I know. Kind of a weird thing to notice. But she must have had some kind of ultra expensive perfume on. I didn't get any closer than you'd normally get when shaking a stranger's hand. But it was super noticeable. Someone I know says they slept with Britney Spears. She had to sign a NDA. Edited to add gender of said friend. Deleted. My ex dated Russell Brand. And surprisingly she said he was kinky in bed but very respectful. I wish I could remember the full name of the site. But it was something like. Names long and short of it. She was a rock BTCH roadie who would sleep with rock stars and rate them on their performance. Willingness to participate, not just sit back and have a lazy lay, etc. Edit typo. Edit, this is it I think, http:// metal/. TV. The long and short of it, the world famous penis chart. Donna was a fictional character. Various groupies would send in the info. Not me, but my ex cheated on me with a professional NBA player and an MLS player. Shoulder learned the first time. But shout out to your boy. It feels like I unlocked an achievement. She later became a stripper and is happily married to a dude who looks creepily like me. I had a friend, Ben, who claimed he blew Adrian Grenier from Entourage in a bathroom once. I have never seen any evidence to indicate that Adrian is gay though. My suspicion, the molly kicked in and some homeless dude told my friend he was Adrian Grenier so he could get free drinks and ended up getting a little something extra. It would not have been the first time Ben made that mistake. I slept with a girl who won a silver medal at the Olympics. She was a freak and I loved it. But I wasn't ready for anything serious and she very much was. I have no idea who most of these people are. An ex-friend got herpes from one of the Airbnb founders. My mom dated macho man Randy Savage. She went on one date with Steve Perry. From Journey, my favorite story though is that she used to hang with Willie Nelson and smoke it up with him. She still goes to Bandera all the time. I didn't get details. Thank goodness. But from the gist I get, she had a pretty good time with Randy Savage but wasn't all that impressed with Steve Perry. Deleted. A friend was playing at a TPC course and his twosome landed on the back nine with another twosome. And agreed to pair off for the back nine. One of the players in the other twosome was Kevin Costner. They placed a few friendly bets and after the round they met up at the 19th to settle up. Shortly after, as things are wrapping up, Kevin turns and asks, "My buddy, we good?" To which replied, "No. You still owe me $8.50 for Waterworld." Mr. Costner did not find it funny. At all. Buddy may or may not be welcomed at that particular TPC course anymore. Lumbergh fucked her. I used the adjacent urinal to Benedict Cumberbatch at an opening of a Broadway show once. Closest I've ever gotten to a celebrity's junk. The kid who plays Greg in the Diary of a Wimpy Kid movie tried to fuck my girlfriend. That's about all I got. Zooey mama. I slept with a page 3 model once. Not sure if that counts as a celebrity though. I slept with a Backpage model once. I fucked the guitarist from the biggest metal band in my country. The sex was very much below average. But he was a nice guy and we had some good chats about music. Does anyone know why we never hear salacious sex details from regular people who have sex with big celebrities? Do they have people sign NDAs or something every time? I would be terrified if I was a celebrity and I just wanted to have some casual sex with normies not knowing what they could go around saying afterwards. Yep, superstars will have people sign DAS before even hanging out. My auntie shagged the original Ronald McDonald. My grandma banged Mick Jagger in 1969. I ate out Jenna Hayes. Well, she was Jennifer Corrales and wasn't doing porn yet. It was the first time I'd ever eaten anyone out and she coached me and gave me lots of pointers during until she came. A few weeks later we 69'd. Then I never heard from or saw her again until a few years later as Jenna Hayes. Of course. On the internet. Not sex but was a big bragging point in my 20s when she got big. A friend of mine used to bang Diplo. She said he was fun. I knew a guy who slept with Courtney Love in the 2000s. He said she was really gross and had bad hygiene lol. Don't have to fuck her to come to that conclusion. My girlfriend told me a friend of hers went to a Drake concert a while back. She was up front near the stage. Towards the end of the gig, Drake spots this girl, points at her, and one of the security guys goes up to her and asks if she wants to meet him backstage. Apparently Drake is a huge fan of going down on girls. She said it was awesome. My mom banged Snoop Dogg in 1994. Apparently they went to one of my uncle's soccer games together. She sent me a link to buy tickets for one of his concerts about a year ago and asked if I wanted to meet my dad. Friend of mine slept with Rob Pattinson shortly after Twilight was a thing. She grew up with him. So when he made it big she made it her goal to get into his pants. She said it wasn't anything special. He was kinda meh about the encounter. Watch Elon come into this thread and starts bragging about sleeping with Grimes. For the Aussies and Brits out there, I used to work at the gym all the neighbors cast used to go to. The receptionist did the rounds, Toadie included apparently. Danny DeVito's cock is exactly as fat as you think it is. Not sex. But one of the guys from LFO stole my wife's purse after a show in Western Massachusetts. Quick addendum to the story, it was just the two as one had already passed, and they were way past their peak of fame. Her mobile was in the purse and when she called it they answered. She met them at a gas station a couple of miles away and they told her she could absolutely have her bag back. She just had to come into the van and get it. Needless to say she verbally abused them. Didn't get into the van and got the purse back. She was 16. My ex's cousin was getting banged out by Kenny Chesney for a while. Small peen. Bald as a turtle. Pothead. Did roids for a stint. Marriage to Renee was a publicity stunt. I once gave Mr. Ed, the talking horse, an open-mouthed kiss. Few years back in college my buddy hooked up with Emma Watson. He said it was nothing to write home about. He said the room she had was better than the hooking up part. You could get into a bell tower above it. This is a view. https://imgur. WLNJ50. It overlooks all of Brown. Pretty cool. Before hearing of his experience and seeing the pic for myself, I didn't think it was real. It was a campus myth you could actually get up there. I hugged Phyllis Smith from The Office one time. Does that count?